MEF 3.0 is really a transformational global services framework, and to define and deliver and certify agile, assured, orchestrated services across global ecosystems of automated networks.
If you think about what we did with 2.0 5 years ago, we tried to make it easier for both operators to understand MEF services, build their service portfolios, and at the same time, we provide essentially a cookbook for vendors in terms of what their products needed to deliver. So, that created an $80 billion annual carrier Ethernet market, which is 50 some odd billion in services, the rest is hardware and software and so on. And so that model worked, and we wanted to essentially build on that concept, build on the success, and also, we have 140 some odd companies that were certified to 2.0. They want to move forward. They want to move forward in an evolutionary way, and 3.0 is their roadmap to do that.
It's about creating a global fabric of a virtualized network that crosses the boundaries of the different carriers.
3.0 is absolutely an opportunity for the new services like SD-WAN, like security as a services, moving very fast and managing cloud services and business applications.
So what we've done in this MEF 3.0, we've packaged it up in a way that anybody can get on the journey, no matter how far they're in the journey or just starting, they can get on this journey. If you think about it, the four main areas we talked about are services, traditional services, but new services to make new revenue. There's the idea of certification of your services to make sure that it works right. That's obviously what we've done in the past. What we've added is the idea of APIs. When we talked in the past about how APIs, everything's going to software, so you need APIs to make everything automated. So APIs is the basics of how automation is going to happen between providers and subscribers and everything. And the last one is we created a community. Now the community is really interesting. The community allows these providers all over the world to work in their local communities to get and figure out how to learn from the other people on the journey and how to be participating in that journey.
MEF has done a phenomenal job for over 10 years in standardizing and helping the world get a reliable Metro Ethernet, carrier Ethernet infrastructure in place. This step from the MEF into more services, the step from the MEF into saying, hey, standards are important regardless of where you're operating in the stack. Interoperability is important regardless of where you're operating in the stack. Let's take those great MEF skill sets and apply them to software-defined WAN, lifecycle orchestration, interoperability, and all these software services. And standards and the kinds of standards MEF drives ultimately pull out cost because vendors and carriers are forced to compete on quality as opposed to some kind of lock-in from proprietary technologies. And it also drives up quality because it becomes easier to take different technologies, different carriers, plug them together and avoid mistakes and complexity just because things are operating in a different way.
One of the things we found is what you own isn't nearly as important as what you can connect. And so MEF always factors into that, and now services are something you connect to. Right? Used to it was site to site, but now it's more site to services, end user to services.
As an industry, there is a need for standards and there's a need for collaboration as we move to these new next-gen services. And I think the MEF 3.0 that was announced this morning, I think the program provides a good framework and a path forward for service providers to collaborate together and in a more rapid fashion get these services out rather than working individually amongst ourselves.
We believe that MEF 3.0 is a big enabler for this because it basically sets the stage for standards, interoperability, making certain that as we build, everyone's building to similar standardization and interoperability goals, particularly with the APIs, because now you're really getting those Lifecycle Service Orchestration APIs that allow you to have the interfaces so that you can interface with your customers, be it our enterprise or our wholesale, any of the consumer business customers that we have out there.
MEF 3.0 provides actually a framework for the community to align how the service should be run, how those interfaces should be defined, what APIs need to make what type of information transparent and manageable. MEF 3.0 is actually, I would say, the framework making it formalized across the multiple entities, be it service providers, vendors, partners, and so on.
One thing MEF does that really we don't see anyone else doing is working inter-carrier, so you can have a service that crosses multiple carrier boundaries to serve an end-to-end global customer. So service definitions, the APIs. Now the APIs are really important because they reflect the abstractions that make it possible for the network technologies to advance without impacting the applications. So we've chosen a number of reference points, defined APIs, and we're instantiating them as we go in software with software development kits. Then we have certification, and this will be a much broader form of certification than we had for carrier Ethernet. Again, skills, products, and services. We'll get to that. And the fourth, which is kind of new, is community, because we can't do this alone. So the two main categories of organizations we're now collaborating with are other standards organizations and open source organizations. But in addition to those, we're bringing in individuals from the research and academic communities for our research council and our development community.
We are completely changing the certification model with the introduction of MEF 3.0. It's an earthquake. It's a huge, huge change. The tester is now in the cloud. The logic of the tester, the power of the tester, are microservices sitting in the cloud that are accessed through a web portal from anywhere.
So MEF is, as it did with Metro Ethernet, leaning right into this next generation of technology and going to leverage all those skill sets to go help standardize that part of the industry. It's a great step for MEF.
For the first time in the industry, we're able to empower users with dynamic performance and security required to thrive in the digital economy by combining sophisticated standardized services with LSO APIs. As a result, you provide a cloud-centric, seamless experience, and with incredible or unprecedented, I would say, user and application directed control over network resources and service capabilities on a global basis.